Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Are we live, David?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. The time is 7:03 p.m. and I'm calling to order the Baldwin Park City Council regular meeting. Is Pastor Flores here? Pastor Jackson, could you please give us our invocation? Good to see you, Pastor Jackson.
Heavenly Father, we come before you right now in the name of the Lord and giving you praise, glory, and honor and thanksgiving. Thank you for the right and privilege to come into your throne of grace that we may find grace and help in time of need. And our city of Baldwin Park needs your attention, needs your grace, and needs your mercy. We're asking you, Heavenly Father, in touching our city council and the mayor, giving them wisdom and knowledge and understanding in what to do and how to do it to enhance the city, Lord God. And also, Lord God, that all that are working within the city, Lord God, like the police department, the fire department, Lord God, the school board, and even the businesses, Lord God, it's a village that come together, Lord God. And we understand and realize there's a lot of turmoil that's in this world, Lord God. Not a turmoil with even in our own cities, Lord God. But we're reaching out to you for your helping hand upon our cities, with our schools, with our children, Lord God, with our businesses, Lord, that you would lead, guide, and direct by your Holy Spirit. We need you. We can do nothing without you. We have not because we ask not, and we're asking for your divine direction in Baldwin Park. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray, amen.
Mayor Pro Tem, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Of course I can, Mayor. Please stand and put your right hand over your heart and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
In the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. City Clerk, can we get roll call, please?
Absolutely, Mayor. Mayor Damian,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Avila.
Here.
Councilmember Estrada.
Here.
Councilmember Lozano.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. Report from closed session. We did not have a closed session today, so moving on to proclamations, commendations, and presentations. Today, we have a presentation recognition for being the first female to reach 1,000 career basketball points. Wow.
Incredible.
Presented to Saile. This is going to be presented to Saleh Audrey Buna from Sierra Vista High School, and it will be presented by Councilmember Estrada. Councilmember?
All right, so I'm going to ask you to join me up here with the rest of the staff, and you join us with your team. I think we all fit up here.
May I have the mic?
All righty. So we have a certificate for Kylie Audrey Buna, Sierra Vista High School girls basketball team. So on behalf of the city of Baldwin Park, we're proud to recognize you for your leadership and dedication. Congratulations for making history and becoming the first female athlete to reach 1,000 career basketball points. We applaud you for your hard work, commitment, and for being an extraordinary athlete. Thank you for your favorable recognition you bring to your school and to our community. Presented on this day, fourth day of February 2026, on behalf of Mayor Daniel Damian, Mayor Pro Tem Gina Amayala, Councilmember Alejandra Avila, Councilmember Emmanuel Estrada, Councilmember Manuel Lozano, City Clerk Christopher Sines, and City Treasurer Joanna Valenzuela.
It's in my notes. My notes.
Use this, or you can use this one. You're just gonna have to get a little closer, okay? Hopefully your speeches are as good as your shots, all right?
Okay. I don't know about that. This one might be an airball. Okay, hold on. I would like to start off by thanking my mom, my #1 supporter, the loudest in the crowd. Thank you for always believing in me, even when I doubted myself. Thank you for the sacrifices you made, the late nights, the early mornings, and the constant encouragement. You've been my biggest supporter, my teacher, my safe place, and my best friend. Everything I've accomplished is built on your love, patience, and strength. I would not be here without you. Thank you to my coaches for welcoming me with open arms. You guys put a workload of time and effort you put into making sure I am the player I am today. I would also like to thank my teammates for keeping my head up throughout this long and tough journey. Thank you to everyone who stood by me during challenges and celebrated my successes as if they were your own. You reminded me that I'm never alone and that support can make even the hardest goals feel possible. Thank you. Do they have for shot? Hold on. Shot, that's right.
Give him a.
I was saying.
Excuse me, wow. It's so awesome. I know, 1,000, that's incredible. That's right. PP. Manny. Manny Carrera.
That's Manny and that's Manuel. And that's Emmanuel. He says Manny, no.
Oh,
Oh, I
that's
call
right,
him
yeah.
Manuel. Ooh, there's so many. Because they have a regular
Daniel,
name like
Manny,
me,
man.
Danny.
That's awesome, you guys.
That's what they call you, Mayor.
Congratulations. Go, go.
Congratulations, Mija.
That's amazing, 1,000, man. Working that,
I didn't know this. Was that in a season?
huh?
I didn't know. Was that in a season?
Oh, with the mayor. Right, we forgot.
Oh, yeah, with Mayor. Oh, with all of us. Okay.
Not my chair. Oh. The wrong chair there. Thank you, Manny. Mr. Carrillo. Okay, we should, what the heck?
All right, so we're coming back.
Okay, yeah. let me-
Again, if we could just give a big round of applause for those 1,000 points. And then, Manny, if it's okay with the entire city council, we can maybe place her on the Morgan Park marquee,
Yes, sir.
facing the 1,000 points.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
All right, so we're gonna be moving on to public communications. City Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3 speaker cards. The first is Irma Morales with the LA County Libraries.
Good evening, Mayor Damian, council members, city staff, and community members. I wanted to tell you about stuff that's going on at Baldwin Park Library. This month is Library Lovers Month. And so if you come into the library and you tell us what book made you fall in love with the library, we have a goodie for you. So we appreciate if you can do that. Also, it's Black and African American History Month. We have lots of great resources on our library's website. Along with Lunar New Year, we have a, for Lunar New Year, if you come into the library, we have a red envelope, if I can find it. A red envelope with the year of the horse, and in it is a bookmark. So please visit us for those things. And I'll go through these by the date that they're starting. So we're having a teen program on Thursday, February 12th. It's Create a Calligraphy Fan with Sherry She. That's Thursday, February 12th from 3:30 to 5. We're continuing our Wellness for Seniors program on Friday, February 13th from 2 to 3. It's called Managing Your Medication. We are beginning our free tax preparation programs on Saturday, February 14th is our first VITA, we call it VITA tax. It's trained Cal Poly juniors and seniors come and help prepare and electronically file federal and state income tax for folks who make under $60,000 a year. We'll have 4 dates, 2 in February, February 14th and the 28th, and March 7th and the 14th. Both will be, all will be 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. At the library. We're continuing with programs for children. We have an art time program about Jeff Kinney. Jeff Kinney writes the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, and that'll be Saturday, February 14th from 3 to 4. We'll be talking about his artwork. And as I said, beginning Lunar New Year, which starts February 17th, we're giving out the envelopes. And we have a teen advisory board that just happened today, but it also begins, we have another one February 18th. And last but not least, we have on African American and Black History Month, Our Place in the Sun craft and program on Tuesday, February 24th. Thank you for your time.
Next, we call Cindy Rubio.
I'm a longtime resident of Baldwin Park. I live by the Walnut Creek Community Center. And my concern is the lack of communication between the city council, and the residents in our area. The majority of our residents in that area run average age, I'd say about 70 years old. So they don't use the internet. They don't have any way to communicate unless their grandchildren are there or their children to help them. We're made unaware of most of the things that are going on within the city. I was here last week and was unable to stay. I learned so much listening to the lady from the library, the gentleman from the dog pound, the things that are accessible to people in the city, especially seniors. And there's no way for us to know what's going on. You changed the dial-a-ride system to better buses, which is a great help, but you also changed the way you make the appointments. Nothing was discussed with anyone who uses a dial-a-ride prior to it happening. It was a big mess. The new drivers that are driving for the transit, some of the old ones stayed. The new ones did not. There's new ones. They stop or they don't stop, depends on what you want to do. I got tired of trying to deal with the dial-a-ride, so I decided to go on the transit. I asked to be dropped off at the sign where it said drop off, Main and Francisquito. Driver said, no, that's not a stop. Gentleman across from me is getting upset. He said, it is a stop. You need to stop for her. And it's difficult for me to walk long distances, but it was like, okay. And I told him, it's okay. I don't want to argue. We'll go to the next stop, which is all the way up at Francisquito and Vineland. He dropped me off there and he said, that's not a stop. Okay. I walked away, walked back. The sign is there. The sign is across the street by the Habit. I called their offices. I asked them, did you remove this stop? Oh, there was never a stop there. There is a stop. Oh, well, it doesn't work anymore. There's no communication. If you change the route, then post it in the buses. There's only 6 of them. Post it and let them people see in front of them what's going on. If you don't attend the senior center, you don't know anything that's going on. In our neighborhood, we can't see the marquee. A lot of people don't come this far over. They go to Food for Less and Target, maybe Walmart. They don't go to see where the marquee is at. They don't see the messages. They don't communicate. And then everybody's talking to everybody else and putting out bad information. You're having a grand opening at the park that's around the corner from our house. And somebody from a different city called me to ask me if I was going. I didn't know anything about it. I was told that it's going to be in the Baldwin Park now, but that's coming out this week. It's already coming up next week.
I'm sorry, 3 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we call Marco Ornelas.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I won't take up all 3 minutes. My name is Mark Ornelas. I grew up in Baldwin Park. My parents still live in Baldwin Park. I'm here to talk about, or I have an ask of the city council, which is that the city take a more proactive approach in dealing with the threat of a data center in the city of Baldwin Park. I do land use law. That's my profession, and I follow it closely. And I've been following developments in the San Gabriel Valley with applications for entitlements that would allow data center, what we consider data center land use in the city. And I mean, I drove 2 hours to make it to the meeting today. I don't think that the threat is non-zero. I think it's not speculative or I think it's a concrete threat that the city faces. And I know that cities can't take reactive approaches to entitlements. They have to act proactively. When an entitlement comes in, they get the benefit of the policies that are in place at the time that the application is filed. And my concern is that the city does not have a moratorium, or it has not contemplated what it would do if a data center, if a proponent of a data center submits an application. And I mean, I've reviewed the applications in the San Gabriel Valley, and I've looked up the attorneys who are representing the applicants. I know who they are. They're very sophisticated. They're some of the best in the industry. And I would hate for the city to get caught with its hands tied if somebody submitted an application here. So I won't take up any more of your time. Just thank you all so much for the work you do. It's great to see you. Love the city, love the work that you do, and it's nice to see you all. Thank you and take care.
Mayor, that concludes all speaker cards received.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. If there's anyone else in the audience wishing to speak who did not fill out a speaker card, now is your time.
One more time. As I was driving in this evening, I saw a taco vendor. I called Carlos and he was going to go take care of it. Another thing, I went to a Rosemead meeting, town meeting with the district attorney. And I just suggested, why don't we have one right here in Baldwin Park? The people from Rosemead said that they invited all the cities within the area. We were never told. I found out from people from El Monte. And they were wondering if we could have a town meeting with the district attorney. Okay? Other than that, we're still getting street vendors on the weekend. Like I mentioned right now, I just saw one right now. We're trying to clean the city up, and you guys are not paying attention to the community. I requested awnings for the bus stops. I've seen people right out there for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes out in the sun. I've been asking for that for the past, I would say 8 years, something like that. Another thing we've been asking is for the equipment, exercise equipment for Walnut Creek. The equipment that we have right there is for young kids, which is fine and dandy. But during the summer, when it's over 100 degrees, the kids can play in there because they burn themselves on the equipment. We need to put some shade over it, you know. We need to look at asphalt around our neighborhood, especially our neighborhood on Ledford Street. Right now, before we came, a lady came to us and told me I almost fell into a hole. It's in the street. I talked to Anthony right now. I hope they take care of it tomorrow. We don't need another lawsuit. I know we're fixing the sidewalks, which is fine and dandy. let's take care of City Hall first. Around the pond, that's where we're, that's where we should be looking at. Not spending so much money on El Sótalo that hardly anybody goes there because there's no shade. Okay? We haven't been able to put up a restaurant in there because it wasn't prepared for anything like that. Sorry, you can give me 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? No, see no further interest. I'll now close public communications. Oh, I'm sorry, there is one more. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Lynn, and I just moved here to Baldwin Park, but I'm happy to be in this meeting with you all. And something that I wanted to talk about is something not new. We've all seen it on the news and people that we know, which is the ice raise that's been happening throughout the San Gabriel Valley recently. We all know about, the incident that happened in El Monte couple weeks back, and I just wanted to bring that up to Baldwin Park, and just wondering what the city will do in the case that there are ICE federal agents here that might harm the community. The other day, I actually stopped the side of the sidewalk and by the freeway here, and I saw a fruit vendor, and I got out and I told him, "Hey, ICE is actually in El Monte right now," and tell me why he started crying. He was shaking, he was clenching his jaws, and I just think that's it's just crazy. So I was wondering what the city will do, what the officers will do in the case that federal agents are here and trying to terrorize the community members. And so I just hope that that's something the city will consider, and you guys can do something other than put out a statement like El Monte did, when one of their residents got detained unlawfully and they had their car broken into, their window got smashed. So if that happens to a community member here, and we have many small businesses, many vendors, what will the city do? Thank you.
Thank you for those comments and welcome to the city of Baldwin Park. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? No? Okay, now I will now close public communications. I did just want to address a couple of comments that were brought up. Mr. Rios, I know that we've discussed in the past regarding the awnings and actually some of the benches for the bus stops. So we'll make sure we touch base with staff to see where we're at with that, because I know that there was a study being conducted, but we'll check to see where we're at with that. And then Ms. Rubio, I understand, a lot of the residents in the Walnut Creek area are primarily seniors. I guess other ways of communicating with them besides, the Baldwin Park Now, since they're not active on social media, is, probably flyers. But as you know, it's difficult to have staff go out there and pass out flyers to every resident for every single event. But Manny, would it be possible if we pass out flyers for the grand opening at the Greenway? And
Absolutely, sir. That's already been planned. I believe staff or the outreach team was going out this weekend or this Friday. So it was already planned, but
Okay.
yes, sir.
so we'll have staff pass out flyers for that in that area for the grand opening. And then in reference to the ICE comments, we hear you. We fully support and we fully stand behind all of our residents in this community, regardless of immigration status. I think the entire council has been very vocal from that aspect where, we're behind our residents and we're going to do everything possible to make sure they are protected. And then I'll make a comment at the end of council giving direction to staff in regards to that, okay? Other than that, those are the comments that I have. Does anyone else have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Councilman Ravila?
Yes, thank you. In regards, Cindy, to Manny, how feasible is this? to create a few bulletin board areas in the area of the Walnut Creek area where residents, you know how we have the reading book boxes where we put books for kids to pick up in different areas. Maybe have something like that in different locations in that particular community where we put flyers and a bulletin board up for them. And maybe if one resident can't come, the neighbor can come pick up the flyer and take it to the resident, something that's feasible that they can walk to maybe, or their neighbors can walk to and take the flyers to them. every time we
Absolutely.
have
That's a
event.
great
mean, I don't
idea.
How that sounds, Cindy, to start, to just get the information closer to you. If we do it for the reading, I mean, maybe we could do that to make sure our resident gets
Sure.
information.
Absolutely. Very good idea.
Also-
Thank
In regards to the raids, we hear our community. As a matter of fact, our students have been having walkouts here in our city. And I'm very proud of our police department and our school district because although they don't want the students walking out on the streets because it is a safety issue, but they do have a right to speak out. They do have a right to protest and tell everybody how they feel. And so what's been done here, at least in that case, PD is always aware, working with the school district, administration has walked with students when they walk out. Again, it's not something we encourage because of safety, but we understand how they feel. We understand that it's something that they need to do. And I'm very proud, thank you, Chief, for making sure that our PD is always aware and making sure in this cases that our students are safe and that you're working closely with the district. It's something that we can't control. And I'm actually very proud of these students. Not that I encourage the walkouts, but I do encourage for them to speak out and let people know that they're angry about what's going on because it's not easy for them. There is a lot of students, like she said, the vendor that was in tears when she told them ICE was in the area. That's how a lot of students feel. They feel afraid to go to school. They feel afraid for their parents. They feel afraid that their parents may not come home. And it's difficult on everybody. It's difficult on all the families here. And in Baldwin Park, we do have to follow the law. And there's only so much we can do as a city because there is a law that we need to keep in place. But we are safeguarding you the best that we can, along with the police department. The police department does not work with ICE. They will be out there to protect you if needed, if you feel threatened, but just know that there's certain things, and maybe that's something that we can put out, you know, the things that, and I know we have, that the PD can and cannot do, so our residents understand. But not at any given time is the city of Baldwin Park with ICE or in agreement with what's going on. This administration has the whole country, the whole world actually in a panic because of what's going on. And we are not standing for it. And I thank all of you that come up here and speak, and those of you that have been outspoken in our community. But just, I want to remind you to please be safe when you are out there. Know your surroundings, watch what's going around you, and do keep communication open. And if you do see something, take pictures because a lot of people are posting things without pictures, without proof. If you have proof that ICE is in the area, definitely post it, but we need pictures because otherwise we can't be sure that it is them. Thank you. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor. Yeah, just want to also share to the new resident that came in, there's also flyer that's circulating. There is going to be a anti-ICE protest Friday, the 13th at 4 p.m. So that's next Friday. So if you want to be part of that group, Morgan Park, right on the corner of Ballpark Boulevard, Ramona on Ballpark Boulevard. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? No? All right, so now we're going to be moving on to consent calendar. Any of you want to pull any items from consent?
In here.
I'm going to go ahead and pull item number 3.
Mayor,
Yes,
item number 4.
4. Okay. Anyone else wishing to pull any items? If not, can I get a motion to approve consent items 1 through 5, excluding 3 and 4?
I'll go ahead and move.
Motion by Councilmember Lozano. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. City Clerk, can we get roll call?
We have a motion to adopt items 1, 2, 5, moved by Councilmember Lozano, second by Mayor Pro Tem Ayala. Councilmember Avila. Councilmember Estrada. Councilmember Lozano.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Yes.
Mayor Damian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. All right, item 3 is mine. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this over to Manny or Daniel. Item number 3. Oh, wait a minute. I pulled the wrong item. Okay, so you know what? What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make a motion to approve item 3.
I'll go ahead and second.
We got first and second. City Clerk, can we get roll call to approve item 3?
We have a motion to adopt item number 3, motion made by Mayor Damian, second by Councilmember Lozano, Councilmember Avila, Councilmember Estrada, Councilmember Lozano,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala,
Yes.
Mayor Damian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. All right, Councilmember Estrada, that was the item I was gonna pull, which I got confused, but go ahead, you have the floor. Item 4.
Oh,
Did I say 3?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I wanted to ask just some questions. I mean, first, I wanted to thank staff because I know this seems like this project is moving pretty quick. It's very exciting to see that, especially because, you know, it's a very special project and it's first park to be built on the north side of Baldwin Park. I just wanted to ask about the wall. Is this just going to be a cinder block wall?
So it is a cinder block wall, but on the park side, it will have stucco finish. So it'll be a nice cinder block wall. On the park side, it's a decorative stucco finish with a nice cap on top of the wall. The walls are the wall that we're building now is on the north and the west side of the park, and it's 11 and 11.5 foot walls. Very tall walls, but not just a plain cinder block wall. It'll be actually, you know, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing walls on the park side.
Okay. Yeah, because I know I was just thinking about it before, you know, because I know we wouldn't want to just have like a plain stucco wall, but I mean not plain stucco wall, but not just a plain cinder block wall. And then I know that there's always an opportunity to just make sure that it's, you know, pleasing aesthetically, right? Whether it's through, you know, just decorative blocks or a stucco finish. I just want to make sure that we're using every opportunity to make sure that place is decorated very nice.
No, I think, you know, all of the elements of this park are, you know, premier and beautiful finishes. It's going to be an amazing park when it's done. So yeah, there's nothing that's going to be kind of plain and simple about it.
We also considered the, you know, the possibilities of just, if it's a plain wall, it might get vandalized or.
Yeah, so I think probably Manny and Maria can speak more about that, but no, the park will be the fence will be opened, the park will be opened and closed every day. You know, staff will be checking on it to do maintenance on it. We're gonna have security cameras, and but yes, it will be nice stucco finished walls, and we'll, you know, hopefully they won't get vandalized, and we'll patrol it, especially with our new park rangers and surveillance cameras. So we're hoping that they'll stay beautiful all the time.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, and I think that those are great concern. I think we've touched on that as well regarding the vandalism and that. So I think that, you know, by it being open and closed with the fencing, and I know that we were discussing with Manny, Maria, and Daniel in regards to, you know, is it going to be easy for people to jump over the fence? But they will have a camera system, and hopefully by the time that it's built, PD will have the CSOs in place, and then you know, their main focus will be patrolling all of the parks that we have. So I think that'll help deter some of those concerns that we do have. Daniel, did you want to touch a little bit on the contingency?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so we currently have a grant, about $762,000, which is set to sunset on March 31st. So we're trying to expend some of those funds and get the project started. We've programmed to install a couple water meters and planning on installing a sewer line into the park and maybe do a little bit of grading. But this current project is, the contract amount is $105,775. And yeah, I'd like to consider the council to amend the construction contingency to 25%, which is what we did on our sidewalk project that we awarded maybe a month ago. So 25% contingency, or a contingency of $26,443.75 is what I'm recommending for the council to consider tonight.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions regarding the amendment? No? All right. If not, can we get a motion to approve item number 4, including the amendment of increasing the contingency from 10% to 25%?
I'll go ahead, motion.
Motion by Councilmember Estrada. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember Avila. Can we get roll call?
We have a motion to adopt item number 4 as amended, moved by Councilmember Estrada, second by Councilmember Avila. Councilmember Avila,
Yes.
Councilmember Estrada,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala,
Yes.
Mayor Damian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. All right, see that there's no public hearings. We're now going to remove to reports of officers. Item number 6, the honorary memorial sign for Officer Sam Riveros. Manny, who's going to be handling this?
Mayor, I will go ahead and take the lead, and if Josh or if Captain Hendricks would like to solidify anything that I may miss, but I will go ahead and start the report. The report seeks City Council approval to designate a location as Officer Sam Riveros Way, but we can modify that word way in tribute to our fallen officer who made the ultimate sacrifice on May 31st, 2025 in service to the Baldwin Park community. So we have multiple options, but in terms of recommendation, and I will move along very quickly and paraphrase, we are looking at dedicating adding a memorial dedication, not renaming the street, on the 4200 block of Philhurst Avenue as Officer Sam Riveros. And we can add a sign there. We don't necessarily need to rename the street. And another option that was brought up is Bogart Avenue, to have that street dedicated or memorialized. Once again, not necessarily changing the street name. A third option is we can change the street name on Bogart. There are no businesses on Bogart, so that is an option if City Council desires. So we have multiple options. We have Philhurst, we have Bogart. Both of those, we could have a memorial designation sign, and or the third option would be to rename the portion of Bogart Avenue as Officer Sam Riveros. So that one would take a little bit more work because we would need to legally do some additional work, but those are the 3 options. I'd also like to add, this would be a lasting tribute. The sign will serve as a permanent reminder as Officer Riveros' service and sacrifice. Every person who passes by will be reminded by his dedication to our community. Community healing. This tribute provides a space for reflection and remembrance, helping our community process this loss while celebrating Officer Riveros' life and service. Department morale. This designation demonstrates that our city values and remembers those who make the ultimate sacrifice. Ceremonial significance. The dedication ceremony would bring together Officer Rivero's family, our department, city leadership, and community members to honor Officer Riveros. This honorary memorial sign is consistent with the city's citywide naming policy adopted July 21st, 2021, and street naming policy as updated by Resolution 2024-043. As an honorary designation that does not change the legal street name, it does not require the extensive public engagement process required for actual street name changes. Although, once again, if city council desires to change the name on Bogart, that is definitely an option. Captain Hendricks, would you like to add anything to the presentation?
Thank you, sir. The only thing I'd really like to add is just our appreciation from the council, especially Mayor Pro Tem, for sort of spearheading this and bringing this to our attention. This is something that the association and the police management had been coming up with ideas, but to actually get it before the council was an effort by you. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. If it comes down to just one option, I think the one thing that I would want to just state is an industry standard for when this happens would be, which I wasn't aware, because I was the one that originally had recommended in front of the station on Bogart, because I didn't think it would be appropriate to go to the site where the tragedy occurred. However, upon further research, most cities, to include LAPD, which unfortunately has numerous honorary signs up, West Covina, and just the sort of standard of what occurs when there's a fallen officer on duty. They erect the memorial or the honorary signs without renaming the street, but in the area of where the incident occurred. So I think as a whole, though, our agency, our city, people that want to honor Samuel would be happy with any of the choices you make. So thank you.
Thank you, Captain. This concludes staff's presentation. We're available to answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Manny. Thank you for that, Captain Hendricks. I'll open it up to the city council. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just, I wasn't aware of the procedure, so thank you for mentioning that, Captain. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we should recognize and honor our officer. I think about the idea of doing it on Philhurst, and I know that we want to recognize and honor him. The only thing that concerns me is that there's a somber history there. It's obviously not something that any of us wish would happen. And I think about the residents that live there, and wanting them to be able to move forward and not having to have something that might symbolize trauma for them, because this was a traumatic event, not just for our officer and our department, but for all of our residents that are living there and that are going through this. Our officer passed away there. A father passed away there. It's very traumatic for a lot of people there. I wasn't in my mind, naming or dedicating Bogart, I think, is very symbolic, because he is our one and only officer who has fallen in the city of Baldwin Park. And I know that there's some sort of a standard in the industry, but we're hoping that that's not a standard procedure that we're going to have to follow, hoping that we're doing everything we can to keep our police department officers safe and that they are not in any sort of danger to this extreme ever again. So those are some of my concerns. And I do recall Councilwoman Avila did ask for a memorial. So, this idea that we might have a memorial and the dedicated street on the same block, along with in front of the police department, I think that there's a lot of symbolism there. I think that this allows for his colleagues to be able to see that sign every day as they clock in and out or go to a call, and be able to recognize them, rather than on Philhurst where we are not actively being able to see that. And so, Bogart, right next to our city hall, and that's also where the Metrolink station is. So everybody will forever be able to see and be reminded of that dedication that Officer Riveros had for his city. I thought.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman Avila.
Thank you. I, of course, love the idea of putting a memorial But I do feel the same. Maybe we can ask the residents. I don't know if it's something even touchy to ask them if they would want a memorial on their street. Or I actually think Bogart would also be a great idea because we talked about creating a beautiful memorial with a fountain here in front of City Hall of Officer Riveros, and having the street adjacent to it, I think would make a bigger impact, and it would be right in front of the police department with all his colleagues, all the people that loved him and worked for him. I don't know how the community members on Philhurst would feel of the reminder of the memorial there. So again, I feel the same. I think we need to consider that as well. And we don't necessarily have to follow standard if we don't have to, but I think let's do research and see how the community feels too, to see where they feel it's best fit to put that memorial. But it's definitely something that we need to have in addition to the memorial we're going to have here in front of City Hall. Thank you.
Councilmember Avila.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank, I guess he stepped out. Oh, no, there he is sitting there. Thank you, Captain, for acknowledging the standard of what's usually done. I appreciate that in terms of the practice of placing a memorial sign in the location, especially where Officer Riveros, took the ultimate sacrifice. I brought this forth to the council because I feel it's very important. As of last Saturday, it's been 8 months that we lost Officer Riveros. And it is a lasting tribute, and it will provide community healing, especially to Philhurst. The Philhurst community, which is very close to my school, I have students who live on there. I visit it frequently. I don't know if any of you have passed it. But there is a little, memorial there that I've spoken to residents, even the owner of the property there. She's very aware that I visit, and they are experiencing trauma, and I acknowledge what Councilmember Estrada mentions, because yes, but it will provide healing for them, because in a sense, and I know Council Member Lozano has also accompanied me there, and we've spoken with them in terms of what they're experiencing. And it is a very traumatic experience. It is an experience that I don't wish on anyone. I myself, and not to get too personal, but on my own street, I've experienced homicide, murder, and it really shakes your community, but it brings you closer together. And it's very difficult when something like this happens and they feel like they've been forgotten. They do acknowledge what happens. But the ones that I've spoken with are very appreciative of the idea of not forgetting Officer Riveros and acknowledging him in that way. I feel that would be the most fitting, especially seeing what sacrifice Officer Riveros did for this community. My only recommendation would be to consider if we're going to say Officer Sam Riveros, that we don't use, as CEO said, the word way. Drive would be maybe more appropriate if we even offer or to decide to do that. So my recommendation would be to option 1, to have the memorial sign as a lasting tribute to provide that community healing for not just our own community of Baldwin Park, but especially for the community on Philhurst. And I don't know if anyone else is going to speak, but if not, I'd like to make a motion to accept option 1. Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead and second, but I just want to add something, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I just want to also share, obviously, all of us have an agreement and obviously empathize for the officer and the residents. I did have an opportunity when that occurred. I did walk some of the residents, and one time I walked also with Mayor Pro Tem Gina Ayala, and yeah, the residents there were definitely traumatized. And so it was important for us to knock on doors and to speak to those individuals that were affected, because obviously that will affect them a lifetime of the tragedy that occurred on that particular street, including visiting the other gentleman. I can't recall the name. Mr. Darius Wong's family had an opportunity to meet with them, speak with them during the time that this actual trauma occurred on that street, because they themselves were also in need of some type of healing, and I think that it's important for us to be able to place that sign there. I have personally attended an LAPD, a friend of mine that I knew, where they dedicated the actual street over the individual at the particular location. So I think it's important. The memorial that was brought up about him here at City Hall, I think that's a great idea as well. It's important for our community and it's part of the healing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you guys for that. So I see both points. My only concern with Philhurst is that that day we also lost a resident or someone that was there visiting one of our residents, Mr. Wong. So, I mean, for me, it would feel kind of, I don't want to say inappropriate, but it would feel kind of weird placing a memorial there for Officer Sam Riveros, but not one for Mr. Wong. I mean, I was really going for option 3, which would be renaming Bogart instead of just dedicating the street. It's just renaming it, since I believe there's no addresses that would be impacted, correct?
Correct.
So the fact that there's no addresses that would be impacted, renaming this section of Bogart after Officer Sam Riveros, I thought would be more fitting, because that way it's the streets named after him. We have the police department there as well. We have the bridge there that on his memorial we can light it up in his memory. So those were kind of my ideas, which is completely different from what you guys are asking for and you guys are asking for. So
We were asking
for option 3. So, okay, so.
Sorry.
Okay, so I think we're all looking at different things, and
I have a question. How does our police officers feel? Have you asked them what they would prefer, sir? If we're not following protocol.
The consensus was to follow and I don't want there to seem like there's some sort of rule, but the guideline would be to place the memorial signs at the location on Philhurst. Just to follow with it. But I think that either way, just to sort of put that out there, we would be happy with any of the 3 options. One other thing I'd like to note is the actual signs themselves, even though it's in the report I designated as a way or a drive, neither is included on the signage. So if you look at the staff report, and I'm not sure if it printed for you, I attached some photo examples in the back. It just includes the officer's name. So in the blue, it would say Baldwin Park Police Department. The black, almost like the thin blue line flag, it would just say Officer Samuel Riveros, EOW for end of watch or end of his service, and the date, and then honor duty service, which is our motto on the bottom.
Well, this is a difficult decision.
Chief, let me ask you. I'm sorry. I mean, not that Captain Hendricks is invalid, but let me ask you, Chief. Do you have a personal preference, or have you heard of any options?
NLAPD, like the Councilmember Lozano mentioned, that they also respect the place where things have occurred. But then again, there's other locations like at the Academy that they have a bunch of signs because of for whatever reason they've decided to put them there. But it's an option. And I think whatever it is, as long as we don't forget Sam, it's meaningful. And you think about the option of Bogart. It's a place where our guys are going in and out every day. Then again, the Philhurst is a place where he gave the ultimate sacrifice. So it's an honor that the council is considering how we feel or how the department feels, and I appreciate that. So it's again. It's whatever is fitting for Sam. We got to remember Sam. You bring up a good point about Mr. Wong. That we're also not forgetting him, but they're not doing anything for him. So I'm not, like I said, I'm in the middle, because where it occurred is one thing, and then over here is where we drive in and out every day on our way out and come back in like Sam did.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, for me, it just, I would feel awkward, going there to unveil the sign and then not have anything there for Mr. Wong. Only because, they were both, unfortunately killed at that same time. So, I mean, for me, I would rather rename the street Bogart and go a little step further of just not memorializing the street, but actually renaming the street after him. That's my feeling, but we do have a motion on the floor.
And to add to what you're saying, we renamed the street Riveros Way Drive, and then we're still going to have the memorial because that's the ultimate goal, correct, Chief? To provide a nice big memorial in front of our station, which it's already being looked into. That really stands out when people are driving by, they see that. So they would drive by and then the street adjacent to it would be named after
It
him.
wouldn't be either Way or Drive or Boulevard. It would just be the way it is on the staff report. It would just be
Yeah, just the name.
Officer Samuel Riveros.
Just the name, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, it's just more that the fact that, we do have Mr. Wong who also passed away there. But, one of the things that we can do is, I don't think it's gonna break the budget to make a sign. We can probably, why don't we kind of compromise and put a sign on Philhurst to dedicate that site just as a memorial. And then when we work on creating the memorial here, we will rename Bogart after Officer Riveros. And that way we can kind of both get a win-win there. How would you be okay with amending your motion to include that? Do both?
Yes, and I appreciate you saying that. I will amend my motion. I will amend my motion to
You said.
have the memorial sign designated at the 4200 block of Philhurst Avenue for Officer Sam Riveros, his end of watch 05/31/25, to include also option 3 to rename a portion of Bogart Avenue as Officer Sam Riveros in at the same time as our memorial is dedicated. Is that what you said, Mayor?
Yeah, once we get the
Formulated.
what memorial we're gonna put here in front of City Hall, then we'll kind of combine it with renaming the street a portion of Bogart at the same time do the sign out on Philhurst. You guys get that? So it's basically doing both.
Yes.
We're gonna honor the place where he died by placing a sign there. And then when we start working on the memorial here, we
We'll
will
be able to
we
rename the
will
street. of
join it
Bogart.
with renaming a portion of
Okay,
Bogart.
two
after-
different projects then.
Correct, yes.
Okay, because to me, it sounded like you were going to do it simultaneously.
No.
Well,
That's going to take a long time.
no,
but when-
because, yeah, so we won't name Bogart until we get the
The
memorial.
memorial.
Yeah, but in the meantime, now we can dedicate the street.
Yes, that's
on
my
Phil-
motion. Do you need me to restate it again, City Clerk? You have it? That's my motion?
Then there was a second.
So we have a first and a second. You guys got it? Councilmember Lozano.
We have a motion to adopt item number 6, moving forward with options 1 and 3. The motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Ayala, second by Councilmember Lozano. Councilmember Avila. Councilmember Estrada.
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Yes.
Mayor Damian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. One second. Do you want to make a separate motion to add a dedication for Mr. Wong?
That's not on the agenda to add to the.
Do we want to bring it back?
I mean, it's.
I think it's sufficiently related.
Okay.
So do you want, maybe we can,
The only thing is Officer Rivera is what what we're looking at. I just feel mixed emotions about Mr. Wong not being recognized as well. It just,
so let me ask staff, I don't know how these signs are made. is there a way that we can include a sign to where we honor both Mr. Wong and Officer Riveros as a dedication? Is that what you're asking?
But yeah, we'll just bring it back if necessary. There's just a lot involved because then we stop thinking of that. There's a lot of other tragedies that have happened in our city. And so
Okay, so then that brings us
Cross
to,
that out.
so that brings us to the discussion of we're only gonna honor
let's
those
do
that
Riveros
we
right
have.
now.
Okay,
Yes.
officer,
officer.
because if not, you're correct. We're gonna open up
No.
a can of worms and we're gonna see we didn't honor Vasquez over here and Junior over there and you know what I mean? So at this point in time, so what we will do is we've already have the motion, it's already been approved.
Mhm.
And then if anything further comes ahead, we'll just bring it into a future agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, moving on to reports of officers number 7. That's the Animal Control Comparison, Inland Valley Humane Society and Los Angeles County Animal Care and Control, presented by Captain Hendricks.
Hello again. There, oh, perfect. Okay, good evening, Mayor, excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, executive team, and staff. Tonight, I'm presenting a final comprehensive analysis of our animal control service options, including a detailed side-by-side comparison of continuing with LA County DOC, Department of Animal Control and Care, versus transitioning to the Inland Valley Humane Society and SPCA. Just as sort of a how we got here today, back on December 3rd, staff presented an initial analysis and recommendation for animal control services that included costs and alternatives, highlighting significant cost savings versus the current contract, and proposed going with the Inland Valley Humane Society as a potential provider. On staff's recommendation, that was tabled, and we received a presentation from LA County DAC itself back on January 21st, and they had an opportunity to address City Council directly. County representatives presented their perspective on cost structure, the rationale behind their 6-year cost recovery implementation plan, and the services they provide here to Baldwin Park, highlighting some of the advantages of staying with them, such as the location of one of their main facilities here within the city of Baldwin Park. During this process, staff has conducted what I feel is our due diligence, including a facility tour by the PD of the Pomona IVHS location. I'm trying to do my best at providing an analysis of service levels and response capabilities from both providers, as well as the detailed financial projections comparing both providers over multiple fiscal years, and a review of the contract terms, the flexibility, and the account measures. I limited the projections to only 2 years. I was originally looking at doing 3 or asked to do 3, but given that I don't know where the Department of Animal Control and Care, what theirs would look like after next year's 10% subsidy sort of reduction cost that we would be absorbing, I didn't want to continue to sort of project with unknown variables, as well as our contract with, or our potential contract with the Inland Valley Humane Society is a 2-year contract. And after that, the terms of it sort of switch, and I think I'm using the correct word, where it becomes more of a cost pool or a sharing pool with the other contracted cities in there. So I limited to that just because I know there's some variables that I couldn't sort of forecast. Tonight's presentation provides a balanced side-by-side comparison of both options across key decision factors, with the cost structure and the long-term fiscal impact being at the highest priority of this PowerPoint slide. It'll touch on service levels, enhanced offerings that were requested by the City Council to include an additional animal control officer, as well as, like I mentioned, just considerations and cost controls. This decision should have an impact on our budget and the quality of animal control services provided to our residents. I'm prepared to do this walkthrough with you guys and answer any questions that I can on my ability. Next slide, please. That was just sort of my intro speech.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So this is just a quick executive summary of what is going to be covered throughout the PowerPoint presentation. I will first kind of go over the 5-year escalation of where we started at to where we currently are, the estimated 2-year savings, both with and without potential revenue recoveries, as well as the revenue enhancement section, a cost protection sort of analysis, and then the services being provided. Next slide. So this is the 5-year cost history that I took a look at and asked finance to help me with, looking at it through the lens of fiscal years going back to 2020 to the 2021, where we see our total cost for animal control services was at $283,000. $283,930. Back then, this all came from the general fund. This was before ARPA funds were needed to be dedicated to help cover the rising costs. And as you kind of can see from the PowerPoint slide, the numbers continually escalate based on the sort of yearly 10% subsidy reduction. So if I'll just show a couple of the numbers. In 22-23, it went up to 635,000. And the final last year that we have the full numbers for, which was the 24-25, we were just over $1.1 million. This represents excuse me, if you can just kind of see that we used ARPA funds for this, and there was an increase of general fund exposures without ARPA funds going up to over $1.5 million projected for the 25-26 year. Next slide, please. This other slide just shows a rate increase from 2022 costs, comparing it to the 2025 costs. So we can look at just some of the numbers, and again, they're there in front of you. We see that the costs estimated for the dog, cat housing, and this doesn't mean that this was the individual rate. This is just the cumulative of how many animals for that year versus what our costs were. And we can see that there's an increase in costs based on how long they were impounded, based on just that yearly cost with the subsidies, like I mentioned, that there's over 157% increase at the highest level of just the impounding costs. Some of the other ones are lower numbers, like we look at the field service hours, what it costs hourly, as well as licensing, processing, special intake housing, and stuff of that nature. So this just gives us a comparison from the 2022 to 2025 to really kind of highlight it for council. Next slide, please. This goes into the 2-year cost projection that I mentioned earlier. If we were to kind of do a side-by-side comparison of the account, the only thing I did add to the year 2 was considered to be a 4% inflation. That's I kind of just did some research, and I chose the middle number because they said it typically is between a 3 to 5% increase on typical contracts yearly. So I went and kind of split it down the middle. So if we look at the final year with the final subsidy elimination, and based on the current number projections, we're estimating that our cost for the 27 year, which is obviously the next fiscal year, to be close to or just over $1.8 million. If we compare that to the 26-27 IBHS contract that's being offered to us, and again, it shows the costs plus that 50%, and there's 2 payments of it. So the first one just shows the 50,000, but it's that infrastructure payment as well. We'd be looking at $1.135 million. But this again, as I'll show later on, can potentially be reduced through revenue savings. If we look at the total 2-year cost savings, we're estimating the cost savings for the city by switching service providers to be just over $1.5 million. And I don't know, should I wait till the questions at the end, or if you have a question on this slide? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next slide, please. This one, it just takes a look at the revenue offsets. And what I did is I started looking at actual numbers where we've had revenue that I can sort of validate from LA County DOC versus what the projected revenue that IBHS is stating that we could potentially earn with them. Now, again, it might not seem as fair because I'm looking at actual numbers versus what are, anticipated numbers, but it's just to sort of highlight the difference of where we're at in the contracts. So if we look at the numbers so far, we're seeing that the licensing fees, I think over this current year so far, is given what we've had, is estimated to be about $67,500 versus the projected revenue starting on the new contract, because of their more proactive approach of doing a biannual canvas and some of the enforcement steps that they take. We see that we're estimating between $150,000 to $200,000. So I just split again the difference at $175,000. So we would eventually take that and be able to reduce it from the $1,085,000 and get a reduced number. So as we looked at the 2-year savings being at potentially just over 1.5, factoring in the revenue, we now see that it bumps up to potentially over $1.7 million or a 47% reduction in the 2-year time span. Next slide, please. Service comparison between both agencies is roughly the same. So I don't want to sit there and say one is better than the other. I think one of the concerns council had that was brought up is, can IBHS provide the same level of service? And so I kind of just laid out what I have in there. Both of them are 24/7 emergency response services. They both do animal impounds. The shelter facility, we're talking from the Department of Animal Control and Care. It's right here within our city. There's no denying that factor, that there is a convenience for both the residents, the convenience of needing to take an animal to get some sort of emergency services, or if they have to be a shelter or an impound or a turn-in or a rescue. All that's going to be a much quicker process within our city. However, I don't want to say however, I would say conversely with IBHS, right now they have the Pomona facility, which is 10 miles away, and shortly in the near future, they purchased a location in San Gabriel, which is under 10 miles from the city. I think it comes out to about 9 miles. So there'll be hopefully within the future options for the city residents as well. And then there's also the potential of having an additional worker that would be dedicated to the city that can help with some of the transportation and pickups as well. So next slide, please. So again, at the request of council, we looked into what an option would be as an additional animal control officer coverage. So when we look at this slide, it kind of just says what the current proposal that they're offering right now is officers would be assigned to not just Baldwin Park, but it'd be assigned to the adjacent area. So if there's a call for service in Covina that comes in before ours, there would be a wait time factor in that. But that's typical par for the course with even LA County DAC services, that we don't have a dedicated officer here in the city. In fact, their animal control is countywide as well. So we currently I think it would be sort of apples to apples in that regard. It does include patrols when there's no priority calls, the supervisors upon request or if needed. Whereas when we start to look at the enhanced options of a dedicated Baldwin Park officer, that officer is exclusively assigned to Baldwin Park. Their hours would typically range starting around 8 a.m. They would arrive around 7:30, and they would be here to both patrol, respond to the residents' needs. They would be able to return to Pomona or the only time they would return is to offload animals or do a transportation, and then they'll be back here within the city if that's what we wanted. I think I wrote at the bottom that the dedicated animal control option, I thought I had updated this. This says it's 125,000 yearly fully burned, but I believe that cost is 175,000. So that is the correct cost, 125,000 for a fully burdened with overtime cost for the city, which would be again on top of the $1.85 million. Next slide, please. This slide touches real quickly just on the regional expansion that would help strengthen their ability to respond to us as they continue to grow IBHS. On January 1st of this year, they acquired the San Gabriel Valley Humane Society. One of the things that was stressed to me is this, just because it was acquired doesn't mean it's going to open within the near future. So this is a project because they want to update that facility. They want to, obviously have changes or modifications that they need to make. So I wouldn't necessarily rely on this to be an instant service or a benefit to the residents of Baldwin Park. This is more of a future project that they have, which would allow them to have obviously a stronger footprint across the San Gabriel Valley. And again, it would eventually show that we have 2 facilities within a 10-mile radius. Next slide, please. This just shows some of the key differences, and if the question were to be asked, why would we do the switch? Again, I know everything isn't about the dollars within a city, but it does become a big factor when we talk about fiscal responsibility and managing the city's money that we get from the taxes or the revenues drawn in by the city. There would be an immediate savings. We have a known with the cost where it doesn't fluctuate monthly. It's broken down into the 12 payments. And we also know that there's a limit on the CPI cap at 5%, which may or may not even be hit, but there is a cap on that. We are anticipating a larger revenue generation with them because of the biannual enforcement and the canvassing that they provide. And I mentioned in here some of the modern infrastructure, but I don't really think that that is a key factor when we talk about a newer facility with IBHS versus DAX facility. But just the fact that the cost savings and the potential of their growth with two facilities in the future, I think the staff recommendation would be to move forward with the IBHS contract. But as always, we have to provide city council with options, and that's what the next slide is. So next slide, please. As stated by the Department of Animal Control themselves, we have an established relationship with them. We've been partnered with them for years. We have the local facility location here within the city, which does offer better access for the community members. So there's no denying that part. They are part of a county infrastructure. We are familiar with working with them, addressing problems with them, their contracts, and there would be a continuity of service if we continue with them. One thing I would like to add, which was just brought up with me today from the Department of Animal Control, and the Deputy City Clerk, Shirley Quiones, will pass it out for you, is we received today from them an additional option of having a backup contract with them, and it would be as needed sheltering for animals with a rate of $105.08 per day, which would apply if Baldwin Park needed temporary housing animals, such as an immediate medical care or an emergency situation before IBHS would be able to arrive on scene and pick up the animal and transport it to their location. So I wanted to make sure that I did include that for LA County as well as an alternative. Going back to this slide, option 2 would be to contract with IBHS. Given the significant cost savings, the potential enhanced revenue generation in the facilities, there's definitely a cost savings with going with them. But again, the choice is up to the council. So that is my present. Well, I guess I have one more slide. Next slide, please. So given the waiver for us that was done verbally here, we do have, if it's agreed upon today, February 4th, to approve the new council, the 180 days would be reduced. So we would still be able to leave the contract by June 30th. And so as of tonight or tomorrow, I just said we would give the notice to the Department of Animal Control and Care. Over the spring, we would work hand in hand with IBHS for the transition planning. The staff, whether it be the city staff or the PD staff, we would work hand in hand with IBHS to make it a smooth transition, or as smooth as we can make it. And then contract effectiveness would begin July 1st of 2026. Next slide, please. Again, based upon the research that the PD has done on behalf of the CEO, it's our recommendation. I'm assuming we're staff. So staff's recommendation is to approve the contract with IBHS, to authorize the termination notice to LA County. And again, just some of the rationale we've sort of discussed throughout the PowerPoint presentation. Next slide. This concludes my sort of summary of the work being put in. So if there are any questions, hopefully I can answer.
Thank you for that, Captain Hendricks. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up to City Council for any questions, comments.
Yeah, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilmember Estrada.
Thank you. So I know, so one of the reasons maybe I just want to double check. So one of the reasons we held off was because we want to make sure that when if we vote to approve the new contract, that we're kind of looking at also the, things that we might not, we want to make sure that we're augmenting, right? We're not just trying to save money. We're also trying to augment our services and increase our quality of care for the animals, our pets, and also our residents. So I know that you put some, like in the presentation, you put some information like the officer and all that. So did staff come up with a potential package that we should approve beyond the base contract for IBHS?
We have the current contract that was provided back in December of last year. Speaking with the president from IBHS, it would be a simple amendment that would be added to it. And again, the total encumbered cost on top of the $1.85 million would be $125,000. So there's still, I guess, to answer your question in a nutshell, without giving you specific numbers, there would still be a cost savings and an increase in servicing if we were to get the additional animal control officer dedicated to the city of Baldwin Park.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so we have when we were going to first approve or vote on this contract, we were going to pass a basic contract, which was just the base services. So in this time, did staff come up with, their wish list of additional, or look into the additional services that we might need to make sure that we are covering any area and not leaving residents without basic services that they might otherwise feel or they're losing when we're transferring to a facility that's out of the city?
If my memory serves me correctly, when IBHS did their presentation, it wasn't like an a la carte menu, like they're offering us their full services. The only additional service was having an additional officer dedicated to the residents that would help with pickup, provide probably an even quicker and prompt response. But I don't want to misspeak. Is that? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, good. And I know, so I guess more deep. So then we said, some of the issues might be that seniors or people that don't have access to transportation, or, maybe they have some, they rely on a dial-a-ride, or they rely on some sort of, they rely on some other form of assistance to get to and from places, and they can't get to Pomona or they can't get to San Gabriel. They might still be going to trying to get, service, whatever it may be, at the animal shelter here in Baldwin Park. And then, so I know that the county has offered some potential a la carte. So did we look at that portion of what we might, if anything, need from the county?
That would be completely up to city council, but they are offering a alternative contract, which was sent in front of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm answering the question correctly, but
Yeah.
the U.S. City Council does have the option to enter into a contract with both. Yes.
Okay. So I don't know, maybe I'm not asking the question right, but so the whole point is that, yes, we want to save money, we want to increase, but we want to increase services. We want to make sure that there is no disruptions to residents as they have to navigate the change to a different provider. So as all this happens, I know that the idea of them having to drop off their dogs, and I think that's the best example, right? I have a dog I need to drop off and I can't get to Pomona for one reason or another. Maybe I don't have transportation. Maybe I don't have a car. Maybe I have some sort of, inability to just physically get there, whatever it may be. And are we making sure that those residents, because that's what I asked, I think, at the last meeting, that we hold this off, but we also look at what we might need a la carte services from the county for those types of instances.
And to your point, that's what this additional contract that I brought at the end would cover. So for those occasions where, to your point, the only place they would be able to go is to county, and for some reason IBHS was unable to pick up, then the city could enter into an agreement with Department of Animal Control and Care to sort of cover that sort of gap, if you will, so that doesn't occur. And to your point, it was brought to me last time that if we do not have a contract with Department of Animal Control and Care, while they will do everything in their power to help the residents of Baldwin Park, they are under no obligation to receive that animal. And so they wanted to make that clear, not as a hard line, but just as a general business practice. And that's why Bradley Kim and his staff offered, this sort of stopgap measure, if you will, or this additional contract that the city could enter into.
And I think, Councilmember Estrada, what you're asking, I think a lot of so on the service comparison, it'll tell you what we're currently getting from LA County. And then on IBHS, it'll tell you, and as you can see in the chart there, we're getting more out of Inland Valley, according to the comparison, than what we're currently getting now. Let me ask you a couple of questions, Captain Hendricks. On the slide where it says that the dedicated officer would start at 8 a.m. and arrive at the city at 7:30 a.m., what would be their end time? Because it only has the beginning time, but not the end time. They would start at 8 a.m. to what? 8 to 5, 8 to 6?
I don't want to misspeak, so we'll have a representative from IBHS step up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. So our actual, what we consider regular hours is 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So your after hours is everything after 9 p.m.
So the dedicated officer would be in Baldwin Park,
right,
from 8 to 9 p.m.?
Yeah. So what happens is that we have an assigned officer, and then again, as Captain Hendricks mentioned, then they rotate through to offload Obviously, if they're taking lunch, but otherwise you're getting a continuous officer in your community that's dedicated there.
Wow. And let me ask you, with some of the questions that Councilmember Estrada asked, and let's just say, for example, I'm a senior, I have a pet that I need to take to the dog pound. I can't get there. I call this phone number, this dedicated officer dedicated to the city of Baldwin Park is available from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. regular hours. They would go to this resident's home and pick up this animal and take it to the Pomona shelter.
So yeah, if we're talking about a stray confined animal, yes. But if we're talking about an owner relinquishment, that would be by appointment or case by case, but that would be during regular operating hours. So shelters open from 8:30 to 5:30. So, but if you're talking about an actual confined animal and a senior is having a problem, yeah, we get calls all the time that are saying, I found this, and it doesn't even have to be a senior. I found this animal, but I can't bring it to your shelter. But that's not going to be a priority call. And a priority, again, is an emergency dog bite, aggressive animal. So they may have to wait, but that is an option.
So if they can't go, so the question of not being able to go to the shelter in Pomona because we have one here in Baldwin Park, if we were to pay the $125,000 for the dedicated officer, would that dedicated officer then pick up this animal, take him to Pomona without the worry of the resident having to drive to the shelter himself?
Correct. But again, there would be a wait time potentially depending upon the call volume
call
that's
volume.
being generated.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And we're not talking about days or weeks.
No. Hours.
Hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Add to the, I had some questions about so we have an officer solely dedicated to City of Baldwin Park. They're rotating with other officers throughout the region.
Right. So we have 8 full service contracts. And so what happens is that we allocate resources as needed to our contract partners. So we have certain cities that have dedicated officers. That means there's a dedicated officer. It doesn't mean it's the same one officer, right? It'll rotate because we have days off and stuff. So you're getting a dedicated patrol. You're getting that person to respond to calls. But that doesn't mean that if you have emergencies that are piling up, that we are not pulling other resources, but you are actually paying for a dedicated officer in your community.
Yeah. Okay. And then so that's the other one, right? So, and then that officer will pick up, like, there's a dead animal on the road, they'll pick it up.
Yes, deceased animal pickup, but that officer may not actually be the one that does that. There may be another officer that we pull. Just because you're paying for one dedicated officer does not mean you're only getting one officer to service the needs.
So, because if we have a dedicated officer, we just want to make sure. So I'm expecting that if we have a dedicated officer, the response is going to be much quicker than the county, right? Because the county, we don't have a dedicated officer, right? And we have to wait up to 72 hours, which I understand. I think is probably your similar policy to you. But if we have a dedicated officer, if there's a call, we can assume or infer that we might get a faster response time if they're within the area, right?
I can't speak to the county's response times, but what I can tell you is that you should expect more response, and whether it's faster, it depends on what that call is, because again, I can't speak to that.
Okay. And then that officer's only like driving around, or can we offer them a space? Are they going to be here? If they're not busy here, they go elsewhere?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question.
So so we have this officer, right? If there's downtime, are they accessible, or are they going to a different site, or what happens with this officer?
So when I say downtime, I mean, we're talking meal period, right? Lunch, and then when they're offloading. So they'll be at the Humane Society campus in Pomona. But that does not mean that again, if there's a call, then some other officer is going to dispatch to that if it's an emergency call.
Okay. I just want to make sure we get if we have a dedicated officer, and then every time they have to pick up an animal or something, they're going back. I mean, Pomona's not that far, but it depends on the hour and the traffic. And that dedicated officer is actually out of the field for 1 to 2 hours, right? So then we had an officer that's technically dedicated to us for 10 hours, but every time they pick up one animal, they're going to have to take them to Pomona every time right away. Then you actually don't have a dedicated officer here on site that long, right?
Yeah, and I understand what you're asking. What I'm saying is that you would be paying for a dedicated officer, but that doesn't mean that only one officer is going to respond to service calls. So let's say that the officer was offloading back in Pomona, still offloading, and there is a major dog bite. Somebody else is responding to that call, not that officer.
Okay.
And I will tell you, at one point, Our service area consisted of West Covina all the way out to the 15 freeway in Ontario, up to Mount Baldy and down to Green River at the 91 freeway. And we make the calls happen, again, all based on priority, and we allocate the resources accordingly.
Good. And then another, Mayor, if I can go to the next questions, not regarding the officer, but the facilities. You have 2 facilities, but only one is operating right now. Is that correct?
No, actually, what the captain was referring to is that location, San Gabriel Valley Humane Society, is a full functioning shelter right now. But that facility services the cities of Temple City, Duarte, and San Gabriel. So at the moment, as we sit here right now, we have construction that's planned, demolition of buildings, improvements, infrastructure improvements. Those will continue for some time, but at this time, we're not advising any residents outside of those 3 cities to take any animals there because it's not equipped to take those animals at this time.
Okay. And then the next question is, I know obviously Baldwin Park is not the only city that has considered, or I don't know, multiple cities have considered or have left to IBHS. So I know you're growing at a pretty rapid rate. I think is great. But are you managing your, is that intake of animals increasing? You have the capacity, and then what happens if you meet capacity?
I'm sorry, the door closed.
With the increase in service areas that you have, I'm sure you're getting an increase in dogs and cats and animals that you are kind of taking on. So how are you handling that capacity? And then if you meet capacity at your shelters, what's next for us?
Sure. So actually, we've had the height of our service. We had 13 contracts. So actually, this is less. And the communities that we are interested in partnering with, we are measuring that with what our capacity is. So like any shelter, we get at capacity, and we do not euthanize for space. We will come back to you before July 1 asking this council to approve a Getting to Zero resolution, which is a commitment to not euthanizing healthy adoptable animals. That's a commitment by this city council that also wants to, support the work that we do, support responsible pet ownership. We have a multitude of adoption partners. We have a lot of outside area adoptions. So a lot of people come to us to adopt because we have a full suite of veterinary services, so we can fix the animals upon adoption. So like any shelter that becomes full, we really leverage our resources and community, social media, to try to move those animals through the system.
Good. Okay, good. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Estrada. Anyone else want to make any or have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilmember Avila.
I'm probably missing it here, but I recall that you said that you also have events at the park. Is that correct?
We actually do mobile vaccine clinics throughout all of our communities. And then we also bring our Good Mobile to do the mobile spay and neuter in each one of the communities that we serve.
And how often do you do that?
Right now, we do our mobile spay and neuter once a month in each of our communities. And then the vaccine clinic is also once a month, and that's rotated, and we do those on a Friday.
And those are free, or is there a charge?
There is a charge, but it's low cost. Yep. And then we also offer low cost vaccines at our facility, at our medical facility in Pomona, every day through our community clinic. And then we also have monthly on-site vaccine clinics on a Saturday.
Do you ever offer free services?
We have in the past, yes, and that does come up. Typically what we do is it's one of those where they may be sponsored by a donor or a vendor, and we don't actually usually announce that in advance. It's when people are coming out, and then we're like, hey, by the way, it's free. So when they go to check out, they're exponentially surprised.
Because I do know our residents have used those free services here in our city when we've had it at the park. It's a very busy time. So, I mean, that's something that I would like to see. Also, on your hours, what does the weekend hours look like?
So we're open Monday, or I shouldn't say Monday through Saturday, 8:30 to 5:30.
And if we have something happening on a Sunday, what happens there?
We have round the clock. So we have kennel staff and we have officers in the field.
So we would be able to call. As you recall, the story about the hawk. The hawks.
I can never forget the story about the hawk.
Two different hawk stories, actually. So if we were to get that to happen again, I mean, I've had it happen twice. I'm sure other people have. What would be the response again? Would you remind us?
Yeah, the response would be that we would respond. And if it's obviously a dangerous situation, you have a bird of prey in your house. Favi said she'll personally come and take care of it for you. I heard her say that. Yeah, that's our human and animal control manager. So yeah.
That's good to hear because we got no response except for our Public Works Department that came and saved the day. That's good to hear. So no matter what type of animal or whatever it is, you will respond.
Well, not
unless you get wildlife.
Yeah, and not necessarily. If it's burrowing under your house, inside your rafters, no, we do not do that. But you're talking about a bird of prey that could,
Right.
harm somebody in your house. Yes, we will come in and address that.
And now, what you just mentioned, if it's buried under a house, what would you recommend for the residents? Do you give them options on who they call and all that? You have that information for them?
We
available?
give them options. We can come out and do yard audits to show what the attractors are. Like, why are they even coming here? Sometimes it's that they left the space in between. They have a raised foundation. They left something open. Now they've crawled in and they're having babies. Some of that is pest control, so they'll have to contact pest control. Some of that is through us talking about, a deposit for a trap, and then we can relocate wildlife within so many, half a mile. So
And it's a good thing we're not close enough to have bears under our house. You heard that story, right?
don't bring that up.
Thank
We
you.
have bears in our community, and that does
well,
come
we haven't
upon.
seen
Yeah,
them all
that
over
mountain lions and coyotes comes to our door.
Coyotes, we have a lot. And that's another one, the coyotes. I know there's nothing we can do about the coyotes, right? I mean,
There's nothing you can do in terms of, trapping them does not reduce the population. And then, you'll see a coyote with mange.
Mhm.
They live long, productive lives with mange. It doesn't look great, but it happens. And the reality is that many of them don't survive captivity to transport to a rehabber, even if a rehabber was available. So, no, there's nothing to really do. We have had situations where they become habituated next to schools because people are feeding them, et cetera. And unfortunately, in those situations, we do need to come in, set a trap, and then the only result is humane euthanasia.
we actually did have a situation at the school next to the school that I work at. There was a den there.
Yeah.
I work at a preschool that coyotes were coming in the morning to the preschool playground to finally, they realized there was a den at the high school, which is adjacent to the preschool, which is, but I'm glad to hear that you would come, and respond to those type of calls. Those are my only questions. If anyone else has any.
Mayor?
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Councilman
I just
Lozano.
have a short one. First, I want to thank Captain Hendricks for doing a great job on the actual presentation as well. Obviously, I think it's a beneficial opportunity for the community in general. And we are being fiscal responsible. So I think it's important for us to look into changing over to the private sector versus the public, even though the public have to also recognize them, because for years I've taken cats, dogs. Actually, Vice Mayor assisted me on several occasions to the county where drive to the back, drop off the little animals in a little cage there, and then go inside, sign off, show my ID, and go. So they've done good as well. But I'm definitely looking forward to new type of change. But Nicole, so out of curiosity, is it possible for me, say for instance, I do pick up stray cats or whatever, a resident calls me up for me to take the actual animal there and drop off the
To me or to Baldwin Park? Is that what you
say
were?
for me I go from ballpark to the Pomona facility. How does that work?
How it works?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Did you have a further question?
No, so go ahead.
Okay. So, like all shelters, we take in healthy cats, but depending upon the situation. So we are coming into kitten season. So if we are inundated, if it is a healthy, friendly cat, we may ask you to put it back because it may have an owner. People do have indoor, outdoor cats. Sometimes they may be ear tipped, so we know that they've already been fixed. They're part of a community cat program. They're not going to reproduce. Those aren't the ones we need to worry about. If you're having a nuisance situation, we get involved with that. We may set traps. We may remove them with you. We rent out traps. It just really depends on the situation with cats. But for example, we have a robust foster program. So if you're bringing us neonates that do not have mom has not been around, we do a whole education campaign behind shelter diversion for kittens, because sometimes kittens have been picked up without mom and they cannot survive in a shelter environment. So if, you pour some flour around, see if mom comes back. Mom may come back. That's the best source to keep them healthy and thriving. But if not, maybe mom got hit by a car. bring the kittens into us. We're going to find foster families for them, and then they'll come back and get sterilized and then adopted out at the time that's appropriate.
I just want to make clear, yeah, the ones I've taken have been where seniors can no longer be able to maintain the actual animal itself, unfortunately. At the same time, others that where these great animals are out around, no mom whatsoever. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I've done. But all right, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that.
Or do you work with the ASPCA?
So no, we don't. So ASPCA is completely a separate. A lot of people think that because we're an SPCA, we're affiliated. That's a national organization. So we are a local. We're not, there's not a branch. It's a completely independent, separate thing.
So they don't come to your facility once in a while to see if you have kittens that they need to take?
Nope.
Because I know they come to the animal shelter here.
Yeah, I think their focus is on like they have a stop on where they come in terms of as far LA County, because we have actually inquired in the past, but we have robust programs. And so probably that's where they're trying to fill in the gaps for a county or a municipal system, whereas we're private nonprofit as well.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Maybe two. So the biggest difference here is that you charge us kind of like a flat fee for all services included, and animal control shelter charges us kind of per job that they do, right? So every time they pick up a dog, we get a charge. Every time they take a dog, we get a charge. Every time they do something, we get a specific charge, either per day, per capita, per hour, whatever it is. My biggest thing was with animal control was that, if we're getting charged per animal and we're seeing an increase in strays, or we're seeing an increase in, if we're seeing an increase in strays, or we're seeing an increase in, litters being taken to the shelter, then we should have been proactive to cut our costs down and do things like TNRs or free spay and neuter, or just getting people to do these things, even if we have to subsidize it, because ultimately, the spay and neuter stops us from having to take in 8, 10 baby kittens, right? So I don't know how to ask this, but, I want to make sure that, if we approve this and throughout the first year, we can get some measurable data, and also know that you're going to be responsive and also proactive, right? Because now it's a flat fee. So regardless of how much work comes in, we're paying that amount, right? And so we don't want that to be another issue as well.
Yeah, you're going to get monthly data. You're going to get reports that show total animals that we've handled, number of service hours, et cetera. You have all the data at your fingertips. As far as us being proactive, we pride ourselves on that, as well as a holistic approach. And the county model is just a different model. It is literally, hours in, hours out. They're charging you for every touch point because that's how the county auditor comes up with a cost analysis. We've never operated that way. And so for us, we don't want to have to pick apart every little thing, because we want to be able to provide these services. And we feel that that's the way that we can function, regardless of whether or not you can pay for an officer to be out on a job for X amount of hours. If it takes us 20 hours or it takes us 2 hours, we're going to get the work done. And that's just how our model works.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure that right. We want to be able to show to the community that, we passed this is going to be delivering, significant and better results and quality. So.
Yeah. We endeavor to provide great quality, and your chief, your captain, your city manager, they'll have my cell phone. They'll have my director of operations cell phone. We're available 24/7. If you're not getting the level of service that you expect, or you think that you have been wronged on some level, absolutely pick up the phone, because we want to right the wrong. But in return, as an organization that prides itself on having positive public partnerships, we need this council to have buy-in in what we're doing and support the good work that we do and try to promote those programs and services. These are not our animals. These are not the county's animals. These are community animals from Baldwin Park. I'm sure we could argue the points about whether or not all of the animals are actually coming in from Baldwin Park because the shelter is in your backyard. But my point being is that I need the council to be good stewards and the staff to be good stewards, and the messaging behind that, promote our special events, promote spay and neuter, promote adopting instead of, buying online on Craigslist, promote not backyard breeding, right? And code enforcement to be proactive, PD to be proactive when they see things, to include us, because things escalate and all of a sudden now we have a hoarding situation. All of those things will help keep those costs controlled in the long term.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any questions?
I don't, but thank you for asking, Mayor. I just want to say thank you, especially for clarifying some of the questions that my colleagues had. And I really appreciate your last statements that you just said, because that's what we're here for, you know, to help promote you as well, because you're going to be servicing our community. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I did have a couple of questions. I did look at the comparison, and I mean, looking at it, obviously, it looks like we're getting more for our money with IVHS. And I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm just going to be really honest with you. I've been really frustrated with the level of service that the county has provided over the years. The fact that we have the shelter in our backyard, the fact that we've been with them for so many years, and the cost just keeps skyrocketing when our revenues are not coming in at the same time of the expenditures. Obviously, that's going to be one of the first things I look at. You know, obviously we don't, you know, if this was a horrible service that you were providing and there were savings, well, yeah, I would think twice about that, right? But the fact that, you know, you are providing more services and there is the significant cost savings, I mean, to me, it's just not it's a no-brainer. I'm looking at the current versus projected costs and the savings that we're receiving already, including the revenue credits. We're saving $1.71 million. Now, that is not taking into consideration the dedicated officer, correct? It is not. Okay, so that's what I figured. So even with adding those $250,000 a year, I mean, for 2 years off of this, we're still saving 467 million, almost $1.5 million. And that's already factoring in the dedicated officer for 2 years. The fact that we're saving that much money every year, and I believe, to be honest with you, that we're going to get better services. And to be honest with you, one of my only concerns was the fact that the shelter is no longer going to be here in Baldwin Park. It's going to be in Pomona. But if we can get this dedicated officer to save our residents a trip to go to Pomona, then it's still worth it. So for me, I would, you know, after analyzing both and seeing both presentations, I would feel comfortable with awarding the contract to IVHS with the dedicated officer. So that would be my motion.
I'll second that.
We got a second by Councilmember Avila. Can we get roll call? So the motion is to approve the contract with Inland Valley Humane Society
Adding the
and
dedicated.
adding the dedicated officer at $125,000 a year.
I don't believe that's on the agenda.
Yes, sir. We will come back at a
Oh, so this is not
subsequent
even
city
the appointment.
council
This is
meeting.
just file and receive?
Writing
Yeah.
direction to staff
Oh,
on what to come back with.
Yes, thank
So then-
you.
So then, do we start to make a motion to give direction to council to bring that contract back?
Yes.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay,
Sorry.
so then, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but because you have your motion and the idea that, so it's coming back and then we're getting a full contract.
With,
So when you bring that contract back, could you also bring us the possibility of having a, spay and neuter events in there?
I believe that there's, let me.
you said they come in once a month
Make sure we have like a
for
dedicated,
service.
especially because I know
We will definitely explore that option, spay and neuter events. We will step.
Maybe just elaborate a little bit on the services, like the reduced fee vet services,
Yeah.
reduced or free microchipping, veteran adoption program, community education. Maybe just kind of expand what exactly is that going to entail, and is it going to have kind of like those vet at the park events?
So to detail, she
Information.
did say they do have those events once a month, whether it's spay or neuter at low cost or vaccines, but to have that
On the contract.
on the contract.
Okay.
Yes.
So our
And then
motion,
if we can have some free spay and
yeah.
neuters.
So I think that what would be good is the motion to bring the contract back, awarding it to Inland Valley with the $150,000 dedicated officer and a list of services that they are going to provide, such as spay and neuter,
Vaccines,
vaccines, microchips and all that.
all
That
the
is
services.
kind of, you know, outline on the contract exactly. So we know exactly what we can expect for them to provide us during the year. So that is my motion to bring it back.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. You guys got the motion, right?
Yes. We have a motion to adopt item number 7, receiving and filing the report, providing direction to return with a revised contract, including the dedicated officer increasing the cost by 125,000. Motion made by Mayor Damian, second by Councilmember Avila. Councilmember Avila,
Yes.
Councilmember Estrada,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala,
Yes.
Mayor Damian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that, City Clerk.
Mayor,
Yes.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt again.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note, so there's no, so I was asking, city attorney, the presentation is, well, it's just a presentation. So there's no notice, I was asking if we needed or we should have had a notice on our agenda to give notice to the county that we're looking to get out of our contract. I know that we had that commitment from them that we would be able to do it in, this month with the 4 months notice. So I don't know.
Was that done internally? Was that supposed to be done internally?
Yes, staff will go ahead and initiate a letter to the county that we will be vacating the contract.
Because that wouldn't be an emotion from us. That would be just
Okay.
internally, staff would just give them notice. Yes, we have it on the record from the last meeting.
Okay, I was just asking just because I think I've seen like other cities have it on their agendized.
So maybe City Attorney, you can check with Manny. And if it's something that you guys can do internally without us authorizing it, then just go ahead and give the notice to the county. If it's something that we have to vote on, then bring it back to the next city council meeting.
We'll do that. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. All right, we're gonna move on to item number.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We're gonna move on to item number 8, the CDBG sidewalk project update presented by Daniel Padilla, Director of Public Works. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this will be very quick. I just wanted to give the council an opportunity if they had any questions or any input on our sidewalk project. So we started a few weeks ago. We've completed about 2,700 square feet, or about 15% of the project. And we've done about 27 locations. I'll read real quickly through some of the streets where we've tackled some of these, or where some of these locations are located. Adams Drive, Oneida Avenue, Benwood, Bleecker, Bogart, Chetney, Dunya, Grace, Harlan, Hornbrook, Elhurst, Jerry, La Rica, Lawrence, Live Oak, Malin, Merced, Monterey, Olive, Patty, and Palm Avenue. So about 27 locations. We're making progress, slow and steady. And really, this was just to provide a very quick update and get any input from the council, as I think we've received a couple questions, but we just wanted to really just go through that really quickly, and I can answer any questions, or if you guys have additional locations for us, we can try to add them to our project.
Really quick. Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you. I just real quick, Daniel, I just want to thank you and Public Works for, taking this on. I do appreciate. There's some other streets that like Center, that they've addressed as well. I had an opportunity, I think Gentry is doing some of that. So I just want to acknowledge, very professional too, because I had a little conversation with some of them. Just the way they're, handling traffic in the morning and then after school and all that. Really great. So I really appreciate it. A big difference. So thank you. Thank you, Anthony, as well.
Yeah, so this is a project where Anthony and a couple of his staff are taking on more and getting involved in our capital improvement project. So this is alleviating, resources and engineering so we can focus on our next batch of projects, which we hope to touch on some of those capital projects in 2 weeks. But yes, Anthony and his team and one of our engineering staff, Abuzar Farasadi's, helping manage the project as well. And yeah, it's a team effort, and it's going very well so far.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Avila, you're next.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you, Daniel, for all the work that you're putting out there. I did have some questions for Manny. I'm sure he mentioned it to you and he clarified, but I just want to say it in case the residents have the same questions, because I told them that I had noticed you guys were out there, and then I noticed that the sidewalk was patched with that black tar, and And of course, I told him that doesn't look great, blah, blah, blah. He explained to me what your process is. So for the residents to understand that you are doing a temporary fix in some of the areas. In the meantime, you actually get to the project for safety precautions. One example is the one on Foster, where the sidewalks lifted more than 2 inches or 5 inches, was it, Manny?
Yes, I believe it was inches.
Inches. So, I questioned why the black tar, and he explained to me. So I think it's important the residents know that if they see that, they're not thinking that's the final fix on that sidewalk. You're doing it temporary so that there is not an accident in that area. In meantime, that you actually get there to actually fix the whole sidewalk, because that was one of my main questions. And Manny answered that for me. So I appreciate that. Now I clearly understand why some are being patched that way temporarily.
And I believe the one you mentioned, though, that one was done a few months ago. So our current contractor with Gentry Brothers, they're not doing that type of work. So that one I think that you're speaking on,
It's just done. actually.
that one was completed by staff. So our internal staff, that's one of the methods they use to repair the sidewalk to make it as safe as possible, as quickly as possible.
Right.
But our current contractor is not taking that approach. They're completely removing sidewalk panels and then pouring new concrete.
And so the contractor is coming back to those areas to actually fix it correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I would say most or a lot of those locations are on our project to go back and fix them. Our current contract, we're up to 220 locations that we've identified.
Mhm.
And we hope to come back to the council probably in 2 months to maybe add another 180 locations.
Perfect.
So, because we got really good bids when we put the project out to bid. So yeah, we're working through. Hopefully, when this project's complete, we'll have completed close to 400 locations.
That's awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure the community knew that's just a temporary fix in the meantime that the contractor actually goes in there to repair the whole sidewalk. So thank you for the work. I'm sure a lot of residents are very happy to see that their sidewalks are being fixed. And so are we. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Avila. Anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, Daniel, thank you so much for that presentation, and know that we value your work because I know you have a full list of work as the rest of staff, but I know you inherited a big list of capital improvement projects. So thank you for working on all of those. We really do appreciate it. Okay, moving on to, we're at the end of our agenda. We're down to City Council, City Clerk, City Treasurer, staff requests and communications. City Council, any of you have any requests? There's nothing on the agenda, but I know someone always has something.
That felt a little,
Well, I mean, me
a little,
included.
what's the word,
So, who wants to go first? We'll start with Avila.
A little feisty there, Mayor. I'm just kidding. I actually don't have anything. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank
Just
you.
want to wish everybody a great evening and a happy Valentine's. It's next week.
Councilmember Estrada, do you have anything?
No, I just again, I just want to reiterate, I want to thank staff for all the work that they've been doing. I know Daniel's been really busy. I don't know, we mentioned it last time, but you did secure the grant for the bus trash cans, so I'm excited for that. And then of course now you're doing this. And you got the grand opening you got the grand opening for the Greenway, and then you got all these other projects. So I know we're keeping you busy, but we appreciate that you're committed to the city. I just wanted to mention, since I do want to make sure that we, this whole animal control thing is going to be very, very difficult task to take on. And I know, and so of course, thank you to Captain Hendricks and PD and Chief and all of you for doing your due diligence. But I know that there's also going to be the other part where we have to make sure that we push the message and let people know that we are switching providers, what that's going to look like. And we are kind of, just making sure that this is as easy to navigate for everybody. And, with thinking mind with the idea that, we're going to have a dog park soon. I think that's a perfect opportunity to make sure that we highlight our potentially new provider, that we have an event for spay and neuter. That's why I was asking about spay and neuter, and making sure that we educate people. There's an opportunity to, yes, celebrate our dog park, celebrate our pets, but also inform our pet owners and get them those services and resources that they need, especially because that's an area that we don't really often host events in. So
Yes.
another part of Baldwin Park.
But with the new Barnes Park, I think it will be the marquee park in the community, and it should be visited more than ever before.
And to Councilmember Estrada's point, maybe that we can set something up. I don't know when the grand opening for the dog park is going to be, but maybe we can set something up to where we have information on the new Inland Valley and have them there, and kind of have a presentation there, letting them know about the change and all that.
Absolutely. At the staff level, there's already been some discussion. We anticipate opening up Barnes Park. It's still tentative, middle March, end of April. So we are still working on those details. We're trying to get through the opening of Baldwin Park Greenway, but we definitely have some exciting things coming down the pipeline, and we will definitely promote our new vendor in town, the Marquee, working closely with Baldwin Park Unified School District, social media, and the list will go on. Thank you.
But I had one more thing I did say Happy Valentine's Day. Just a reminder, we're going to have the Greenway grand opening on Valentine's Day. So love yourself, go out there and exercise. On Valentine's Day, that's the best gift that you can give to yourself. It'll be Saturday, February 14th at 10 o'clock in the morning at Walnut Creek Park. It is on our website, and it is on the marquees as well. So make sure you're there on Valentine's Day.
I just want to compliment the staff for all you do for the community. So thank you. That's about it.
Sorry, I said I didn't have anything in here. I am talking. If we can bring some information back about the data centers of what we can do to prevent them from coming into our city, that's a city attorney project, I'm sure. If we can look into that and get that process going, please. Thank you.
Yes, and I was going to request that for staff to bring back either options, moratorium, or what it is that we can do so that we can be proactive in case, a data center does want to come to Baldwin Park. So the council consensus that we can get staff to bring us back something on that. And then another thing that I did have was, and I know that one of our residents spoke this during public communication, but I did see what happened in Almani with a young lady who was in a vehicle, was pulled over by ICE and literally, broken her windows and took her out of the vehicle, even though she was a U.S. citizen, with Almani PD being there present and not doing anything. I think that, it's getting closer to home. Obviously, we haven't had that level of, I guess, action here in Baldwin Park, which we don't want. But I think it's a good idea for us with PD to figure out a way to put something out there, just so that our residents are aware and know that we're on top of it. We don't want to react to something like this. We want to be proactive. So have something out there as to what are the duties. I know that, as law enforcement, I know I've asked these questions to Manny, and I think he's spoken with the city attorney and reference as to what can law enforcement do within our local jurisdictions. If, as an example, I get pulled over, a car blocks me here, blocks me there, they break my window, they try to take me out, and there's PD there, or I'm calling the police department. What is our local law enforcement's duties at that point in time? I think it's very important that not only we know up here, so that we know how to translate this over to our residents, but so that our residents are also aware of what it is that the PD can do at that point in time. Because I'm going to be very honest with you. If I'm driving and this happens to me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the police department, call 911. What am I going to tell them? I don't know. There's somebody with masks chasing me. I don't know if it's immigration or not, but either way, I'm a U.S. citizen, whatever the case may be. They start breaking into my windows. I'm calling you. You get there. What is your role? What do you do there? How do you de-escalate the situation? Because a lot of these people out there, they're just rogue. They don't care, right? And so we just want to make sure that we get this information out there so that our residents are aware of where our PD stands if that situation was to come out. So I don't know if it's, legal, work with our police department to figure out what our police department's role is on that. And then just reiterate out there that we do not and we will not work with ICE. You know, we got to continue to put that out there. But at this point in time, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what to tell the residents because I don't know what our role as a PD is to be able to protect someone if this happens. So if we can do some research, figure out what it is, this can bring us back, and then, you know, put this out there to the residents so they're aware of, you know, what if this happens, you know, what can the PD do in this instance, and what should this resident do?
Right, because in Almani, and that's what they're so upset about, that PD was there
Yeah.
and
They actually offered her to PD and PD said no. Basically.
yes,
So,
so
yeah.
exactly. So I think that was kind of the request I made earlier. What can you cannot do? What answers do we give our residents?
Yeah, so I think that's
I
gonna be
mean,
very important.
They know the rights, but obviously that's not working. None of that is working. I mean, we've seen chiefs of police getting harassed by them, police
there was
officers, officers off duty. I mean, it can happen to anybody. It can actually happen to anybody. And what do we do as residents? What do we do?
Mayor.
And then, yeah,
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
I was just gonna make it really quick and then, Member Avila already, spoke regarding the Greenway grand opening. So if you can, you know, RSVP, if you don't RSVP, you can still show up there. It's at 10 a.m., February 14th at Walnut Creek. It's a very, very special project, so you guys come out. And then also, we do have Black History Month. We will have the Black History Community Cultural Celebration on Saturday, February 28th, at 11 a.m. here at the Arts and Recreation Center. This is, I believe, going to be our 4th year celebrating Black History Month. So let's come out and support for Black History. Hope to see you guys there. Councilmember Estrada, let the council, and then we'll let you go.
I just wanted to add to your point because I know she mentioned she was a new resident. So, and I know that your point, it's very complicated to see, you know, multi-jurisdictional agencies and their roles and where they are and regulating one another. And I know that sometimes residents don't like to hear the idea that we're limited in what we can and can't do, or whether we can and can't do anything to begin with. But that doesn't mean that we're not up here being cognizant of what's going on, that we're not affected ourselves. I think most of us, if not all of us, have come from immigrant backgrounds, you know, and we're immigrants, right? So we're well aware of everything going on, and there's frustrating, it's stressful, it's hurtful, it brings us down to see that our neighbors are getting affected. You know, whether they look like us or not, whether they're near us or not, whether they're even our neighbors, whether it's somebody in another city, you know, to know that people are being treated this way here in the United States. That doesn't mean, so just to that point, you know, even though we can't directly do something about something, we can always indirectly do things. And, you know, I'm very proud to say that the council has been doing things that are within our purview, such as making sure that residents who are affected by these things have access to food, resources, utility assistance, making sure that these people are going to be not lose their home or, you know, not lose their place or you know, just add on to that bowling ball of just economic disaster for their lives. So we're doing everything we can. We're aware every time we hear that, you know, there's any sort of occurrence in the vicinity or near us, we're all keeping in touch. We're working with our staff. You know, we're working with also nonprofits. You know, if there's anything that we can do, we also want to hear from all of you, you know, and if anybody has any ideas, we want to hear them, right? We want to make sure that we're providing those resources that are, we don't want to just provide resources. We want to make sure that we're providing the resources that actually are needed. So just wanted to point that out as well, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Estrada. City Clerk, City Treasurer, any comments? I saw you guys. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to kind of reiterate what you guys were mentioning earlier about what the jurisdictions are for PD and what they can do during, if there were an incident similar to what happened in Almani here, hopefully not. I do want to touch bases a little bit more too on seeing if maybe PD can put out a little bit more information on what the protocol would be for you guys as well. Regarding the No Secret Police Act that just passed and went into effect with the state of California, which is SB 627. And just to kind of cover it a little bit, it prohibits pretty much ICE and other law enforcement from wearing masks or face coverings to hide their identity during public contact. It requires officers to show identification, though it allows exceptions for tactical, undercover, or health-related situations. I know that's been the biggest like heat right now with ICE being covered up and, interacting with community members. Like, I know it puts PD in a very difficult situation, but if we can put out some basic information on how you guys go about that. Do you guys enforce it? Can you enforce it? And I know, but the community won't know that. Maybe just putting some basic information out on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, City Treasurer. City Clerk?
Yeah, so I have a couple of things. Sorry to extend your meeting slightly. I do want to thank Maria, entire rec team, for all the wonderful events that they host at the Zocalo. I don't know if like any of you guys attend and are aware, but they're really, well, we have our crowd over here that I've run into at our arts and crafts. And so my 10-year-old son and my 15-month-old daughter enjoy the activities. And so it is truly family friendly. And so really appreciate everything that staff is doing. So just wanted to just highlight that. Also, just kind of touching on a couple of topics. I know that Councilmember Avila talked about community signs throughout the community, and I was just like thinking about something, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer off the top of your head, but we had something very similar with the SUFA boards. And what happened to the SUFA boards? Are they still there? So because for people who are riding the bus, that is exactly the board at the bus signs, at the bus stops that will give them the information that they need. And so if we're not leveraging it, and the reason that I ask is that I combed through all warrants and demands, and we haven't made a payment since 2024. We haven't gotten an update on our e-blast since early 2025. So curious to know what is happening with SUFA and if it's currently being leveraged. It was City Council in November of 2021 voted on bringing it on for a 3-year contract, but never again did it come before council. So I have no idea whether it was extended or not. So I think it should kind of look into what is happening there, because I think that getting information out of the community is always a great idea. And then something to look into, whether I don't know if it's feasible or not, but when you're putting together the information for Alejandra and council, is like in some cities, when you drive into the city limits, they actually have like small marquees in the median. So like while you're at a red light at Target, waiting to turn at Francisquito, there might be a board there with a marquee that is passing some information. So just out of curiosity, thought I'd just put that out in the universe, so something for you guys to look into. And then lastly, as Councilmember Estrada mentioned, a TNR program. There's a so Miami Beach had a very successful TNR, or has a very successful TNR program. They actually invested initially $40,000 a year, reaching 2,000 cats. Now they're reaching the same amount of cats with, did I say $40,000 initially a year? Now they're only committing $30,000 a year, still reaching that same amount. But their TNR program is so robust that they have signs at, and it might be a little draconian, but they do have signs at parks where the TNR programs are happening that say, like, this is a registered colony, do not feed them. The city or the caretaker, the animal control is feeding them. So don't come by and feed them. There is penalties. It might be draconian because if you go and tell our community who love animals like myself that you can't go feed a cat, it might rub people the wrong way. So, but there are penalties in Miami Beach in this example. So something to look into to monitoring our cat population. And then I think that's it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that information, City Clerk. Useful, and I know I saw Manny taking notes, so we'll hold him accountable for that.
And I do want to preface that Miami may or may not have a lower cost of living, and so cost to reach that many cats might be a lot more expensive in Los Angeles, but just something to think about.
Perfect. Give us a lot to digest here. So, all right. Seeing that there's no more comments, I will make a motion to adjourn at 9:22 p.m.
A second.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.